welcome to Biztech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. Now, today we have Purushothaman. He's the Vice President and General Manager, Asia from Rubrik. Now, Rubrik is a cloud data management and data security company based in Palo Alto, California, and founded in December 2013. The company calls itself a zero trust data security as it provides data management services such as backup and recovery and targets enterprises that also run hybrid cloud environments. Now, to give us a better perspective, welcome to the show, Abhi.
Hey, hi, Brian. I'm happy to be here. Great to be talking to you. How are you doing?
Now, good. Thank you, Abhi. Now, for a start, Abhi, could you give us an overview of the company and its footprint in the Asia Pacific region?
Sure, happy to. As you said in the introduction, Rubrik is a data security company. We look at securing your data, making sure that you can recover from any kind of disaster, cyber disaster, natural disaster, or human error, and also you can recover that data and make sure that your business continues. Rubrik has been in existence for close to 10 years now. We just recently celebrated our 10th anniversary, which has been a proud moment for the founders. In Asia PAC, we are present across APAC, Asia, Japan, and Australia. I manage the Asia business. I joined Rubrik about 9 months ago. So in Asia, Rubrik focuses on two key markets, which is India and Asia. Clearly, these are the two largest and most fastest growing markets. We are invested heavily into India in terms of our R&D efforts and our global engineering teams, and our ransomware response teams and global support teams are all based out of Bangalore. In terms of Southeast Asia, our regional headquarters is based out of Singapore. We are in Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, and we are now looking at opening up new avenues into Thailand, Hong Kong, and Korea. So that's the high-level footprint of where Rubrik is in Asia.
Okay. Now, could you give us then a perspective in terms of your product and services suite and how you are unique in the market?
Sure. Rubrik comes from a premise of in 2013, when the founders sat together to create this company, Rubrik, they looked at the current landscape, right? The current landscape of data. There were like three big themes at that time, and I think those three themes are still relevant, which is data, security, and artificial intelligence. These are the three big balls that are in the air when it comes to any startups that are flying around today. Uniquely, there are very few that are able to combine data and security together. That was the founding principle of Rubrik. We looked at the landscape at that point in time and realized cyber attacks are inevitable. And most of these cyber attacks across the globe targets on data, which is one of the most important assets for any organization in the world. We realized that 99% of the leaders across the globe, 99% of the companies have had some kind of attack at some point in time. So what Rubrik clearly found an opportunity there is there was no technology or platform that helped customers and enterprises recover from an attack, because all legacy systems of backup were on a full trust mode. They assumed that the world behind the firewall is safe. They assumed that backups could not be destroyed. They assumed that nobody could come into our house and take away our vault or safe. But that is not true. We know that now. Ransomware attacks are targeted at making sure that the data is encrypted and sensitive data is exhausted, and there is a double extortion attack and data is exfiltrated. That's how people make money today, because data is the most important asset of an organization. Yeah. And capture the data, you capture the organization. What Rubrik helps in this regard is not to prevent the attack, but to recover from the attack. We go into an assumed breach posture. We make sure that data is put in a Rubrik vault, your mission critical data, and we converted the legacy backup into a vault, into a cyber vault, so that customers can start their business operations within hours, even after a ransomware attack happens. And that gives them the ability to become cyber resilience. So hence we are really promoting the concept of cyber resilience along with cybersecurity.
And just for the benefit of the audience, that in terms of cyber resilience, what is your definition of cyber resilience? And how can businesses achieve that?
A great question. Resilience, the English word of resilience, being able to stand up even after you're being hit. That's resilience. What is cyber resilience? Being able to stand up even after you've been hit by a cyber attack. So how would you do cyber resilience, right? Typically, like I said, most of the companies use data backups as the way to become resilient. But those technologies were 40 years old designed 40 years old ago, 50 years ago, when the only resilience was flood, natural disaster, human error, my data center catching fire, which is what I call high impact, low frequency events. High impact, but happens once in 20 years, right?
Yes, and that's what the whole thinking of those days was around. Yes, I have a backup site, a hot site, a cold site, and so forth, and that's sufficient in
That's
terms of
it.
my disaster recovery.
Exactly. What are we faced with today? We are faced with a ransomware attack every 2 seconds. That's the reality of the world that we live in. Rubrik Zero Labs, which is a research agency that we run, did a survey of 6,000 customers, 1,600 customers across the world. And we found out that we believe that a cyber attack will happen in every 2 seconds in 2030.
Okay, tell us a little bit about, I want to zoom in on your Zero Labs report. Tell us a little bit more about that, because obviously you've got a nice sample size. What are some of the background around that report, and what are key findings?
Sure. So Rubrik Zero Labs is this organization that we created with a couple of people who came out of Mandiant and CIA and really big security organizations who came out and said, let's understand the threat vectors out there. Let's understand the threat points out there. So we did a survey across close to 1,600 large enterprise organizations in the world, specifically across every region, including places like Singapore, ASEAN, etc. What we found out is that a typical organization, the data is expected to increase by 7x in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, the total amount of data that you're handling will go about 7 times more. And why are we saying that? In the last 2 years itself, it has increased more than 40%. Just in the last 2 years. That's a lot of data increase for them to handle, secure, make sure that nobody has access to it. Rubrik Zero Labs also believes that about 2/3 of IT and security leaders think that the growth in data is beyond their ability to manage and secure the data. It has outgrown their ability to manage and secure that data. The amount of data that each of these organizations are creating every day, they can't manage. About 2/3 of organizations believe they cannot manage. About 98%, which is close to 100%, said that we just have no visibility where the data is getting created and what kind of sensitive data is getting created, and whether it is in hybrid cloud, whether it is in on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, they have no idea. And specifically in places like Singapore, so the data says 7 in 10 of the respondents in Singapore believes that insider attacks, insider access to data are the reasons for many violations.
Now, that's a big surprise.
People are not hacking in, people are logging in. Attackers are no longer hacking in, attackers are logging in. Your credentials are compromised, your attackers are no longer hacking from outside, they are logging in. So how would you prevent that? You can build the biggest wall in the world. There's going to be that guy who is going to jump across the wall.
But this is what we've seen across the world, isn't it? It's not just a Singapore thing. The point of failure is not the technology. The point of failure is the individual who has clicked on something and compromised his own access to his internal network.
That is true. That is so true. And how do you stop that? No, if you look at cybersecurity industry for the last 30 years, people have spent billions of dollars, billions in securing their perimeter, securing the access, building the biggest wall. Many companies have made billions of dollars. Many executives have made a lot of profits. Many sales guys have made a lot of money by selling the best firewall, the best cloud protection, the best data center protection. But that's like catching a tail or a train which has already left the station, because for every new advancement of a security technology, there are 100 other cyber attackers who are creating a way to get through something. So we believe cyber attacks are inevitable. We believe that every customer must always operate in a state of assumed breach. We believe the thief is already inside. We believe every action, everything that you do with the data must be assuming the thief is inside the house. Then how do you protect? Then how do you recover? The only way is your protection is out of the window. Prevention is important. We should continue to do right things by prevention, but prevention alone will not help you move forward in tomorrow's generation. That's why resilience is important. That's why after being hit, ability to stand up quicker, ability to understand where the attack has happened, what is the point of infection, and where is my good data, and how quickly can I recover that and start my business operations. That's the critical piece that we help companies do. Think of this. Average time, as per Rubrik Zero Lab reports, average time takes for any company, an average company, large size company, to come back into business continuity after a ransomware attack is about 22 days.
That's unbelievable. That's tremendously, and so because it takes so long, there is a greater tendency and pressure to pay ransomware, which we obviously always tell people not to. But because it's so much of business disruption, the tendency to pay increases exponentially.
So true, so true. You have hit the nail. I've had customers who secretly tell me maybe paying the ransom is better. Here is a stat for you. Out of the 72% organizations in the 1600, out of the 72% organizations who have said that they have paid the ransom, only 16%, 1/6, have been able to recover all the data with the decryption tools that has been provided. So you pay the money. It is not like the hacker. So think of this. You are basically trusting the thief who decided to open all the
Yes.
locks and enter into the house, and you're trusting him to give you the right keys.
Absolutely. That's the thing.
You see the irony in that? You see the amazing
Absolutely.
irony in that? So you trusting the thief, and he throws over some keys, and he doesn't have a support center or a call center where you can call and say, hey, dude, your key is not working. If it's not working, it's not working.
Too bad. Yeah. You've paid the
Bad.
money. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
16%. Only 16% have been able to get their entire data. And that too takes 22 days. So therein lies Rubrik value proposition. That is the reason why everybody who's in a board, in an executive committee, who is a CXO, whether it is a CIO or a CISO, should look at building a cyber resiliency framework for the organization. The question you should ask is, if you are attacked by a ransomware today morning, today evening, tomorrow morning, how much time will you take for you to get back your data and start operating again? The concept of minimum viable organization needs to happen. You need to have a minimum viable organization. You need to have a plan for it, and you need to have the ability to bring that minimum viable organization very quickly when something happens.
So give me an example, Abhi. Case studies, what you've done to help your customers get back to minimum viable organization, and what sort of timelines based on your in Asia, for example?
Sure. So we've got a lot of customers who we've got 6,600 customers in the world, right? We've got we face about close to 250, 300 ransomware attacks to our customers, right? We've been managed to secure and save the data for every one of them. Not a single one of our customers have been able to have been compromised in terms of not being able to get the data. Don't believe us? We have an active $10 million ransomware warranty going on. You're a Rubrik customer, you buy Rubrik, you follow all the protocols that Rubrik says that how you should secure your data. And if you are attacked, and if our ransomware support team is not able to recover your 100% of the data, we'll pay you about $10 million per incident.
Wow,
Now,
that's a very compelling value proposition.
For 2 years we've been running, we've not paid a single dollar. Now, that's an interesting marketing gimmick, but we don't come it from a marketing side, right? We come at this problem from a shared responsibility standpoint.
And also from a peace of mind for a CISO or a board selecting a partner, saying, okay, these guys stand behind their product, they're going to give us 10 million if they can't deliver.
For a lot of enterprises that we talk to, 10 million is nothing. They're billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
They have balance sheets bigger than, their 10 million is a round off.
Yeah.
But like you said, it is the peace of mind that we give. We have had, if you remember, one of the origin stories of Rubrik is, and this will be interesting to you. You might remember the Colonial Pipe.
Yes.
That is a ransomware attack that made FBI make that cyber crime, like a criminal offense.
Yes.
If you search in Google, you'll see the CEO of Colonial Pipes was called to Senate for a hearing, and he was openly asked to testify what happened, right? How did this crime happen? How did the entire East Coast was about to go without gas?
Yes, it was shut down.
Shut down. So the CEO, there's a bit that he says that I never knew about. I spent a lot of money on backups. I never knew about what backups were until I realized how important they are. We got saved because we had a high quality backup. And that's why the ransomware attack could not impact us 100%. We did a brilliant job of telling everybody that we are that high quality backup, and everybody else got compromised, right? That's the origin story of Rubrik. That's when we realized this is a massive opportunity. This is where the customers need our help. We had a company in Australia who was one of our early adopters, Langs. This is a story that is in the video. We can share the video with you. It's a YouTube story where the customer, Langs is a big real estate company. They have got a lot of data centers. One fine morning, they got attacked. And hell broke loose, and everybody there was a massive chaos with share prices dropping down, etc. They were a Rubrik customer. They invested in Rubrik. They originally invested in an alternate technology, but when they got attacked the second time, they moved to Rubrik, and then we were able to retrieve all of their data within, I would say, I think within less than 24 hours to be able to come back to business. That's the value proposition. There are so many such stories. Like we have got massive number of ransomware attack stories where we have managed to get people back.
Now, Abhi, I want to zoom in on something you said earlier in our conversation, that CISOs and CIOs are overwhelmed with data. They can't manage it.
Right.
How is AI changing the game from a cybersecurity perspective and from a data management perspective?
AI is interesting, right? AI, especially generative AI, and all the hype around, using AI, creating LLMs, big time LLMs for driving AI projects is all around. Any large enterprises that I visit, all the CIOs that I talk to, they all have some sort of projects going on. Every artificial intelligence driven, data driven tool that we use from a cybersecurity standpoint to thwart and prevent an attack is being used by somebody somewhere to attack against us, right? Uh, it is a double-edged sword. There is just no other way in this world to survive other than fight that fire with fight. We just have to use AI to defend, and we have to know that they will use AI to attack. That is on the cybersecurity standpoint. But where AI is massively helped, uh, one of the items that came out of our survey was 70% of the organizations lack skills to defend against the new age Gen AI driven cyber threats that face their data today. Because today's data structures are not like the old structured data. You've got unstructured data, structured data, PII data, HIPAA data, regulations. People are overwhelmed with that data. And there is not enough skill set and people who exist to look at that data and give right recommendations to companies as to what to do with this. Where AI is helping is generative AI and predictive AI based tools are helping customers to find anomalies in their data, to find user access anomalies, to find where sensitive data is residing, and to understand what to do when a cyber event happens. For example, Rubrik invested in this area about a couple of years ago. We came up with our own Gen AI capability called Ruby. It's basically for cyber detection, recovery, and resilience. So what we are telling customers is that you may not have 15 people to sit and understand how to do cyber recovery when an attack happens. You are all allowed. Use Ruby. Ask Ruby. Tell Ruby that I want to recover from the latest good known data, and Ruby will go and find it out for you. I want to test my recovery capabilities in the last whatever 1 month. Ruby will run tests for you. So it's basically helping you understand, navigate, and automate some of the lack of skills in the cyber recovery, cyber resilience area that we have developed Ruby with. But there are many more advanced use cases that are always happening in this space. It's an exciting space, usage of AI in cybersecurity and also in cyber resilience.
Abhi, it's been a fascinating conversation. I really learned a lot. We could probably talk for the next hour. But then before we leave, perhaps you could leave our audience with some key takeaways as final thoughts to end this conversation.
Listen, Brad, great conversation. I would leave with the following. Every business is susceptible to cyber attacks. If the question is not if, the question is only when cyber attacks will happen. And every business who wants to keep running needs to put in place strategies to prepare and recover from cyber attacks. That involves adopting an assumed breach or a zero trust posture, anticipating that these breaches will occur, and make sure that your crown jewel data that the organization cannot function with is safely and securely guarded in a vault that you can go back to and retrieve quickly, effectively, and fast. You need to have a strategy for cyber resilience. Otherwise, you're looking at a long road of pain and suffering. The only question is when.
Abhi, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
Brian, it is a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Brian Fernandez, and we've been speaking to Purushothaman. He's the Vice President and General Manager for Asia from Rubrik. And this has been Biztech's APAC Cybersecurity Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.